Welcome. Thank you for joining us for our next edition of our 49ers chat. We're going to hold a second as we welcome people in today. My name is Noemi Guevara, and I am the Director of Alumni Engagement here at California State University, Long Beach. We thank you for joining us today. Before we start, we'd like to let you know the session is being recorded, and it will live on demand on our website at csuob.edu/alumni. Also, for today's chat, we encourage you to use our Q&A box located below or above to submit any questions to our guest speaker throughout our chat today. And now it's my honor to introduce our guest speaker. Shahrokh Sheik is a business, entertainment, and intellectual property lawyer specializing in litigation and outside general counsel. He is partner in the Los Angeles business and IP firm Weinberg Gonser LLP. Prior to joining Weinberg Gonser, Shahrokh founded the business and intellectual property firm Kramer Holcomb Sheik in 2012. And prior to that, he served as counsel at Independent Film and Television Alliance, producer of the American film market. During law school, he served as president of Southwestern's student government, as well as the associate editor of the university's law review. While obtaining his undergraduate degree in international business from Cal State Long Beach, he served as the vice president of the student government, president of the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, and founder/president of the Law Society. Please join me in welcoming Shahrokh to our chat today. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Noemi. It's my pleasure.
Wonderful. So to start off our chat today, I would want to start with, why did you choose Cal State Long Beach, and what was that student experience like?
Well, I chose Cal State Long Beach originally because of its science program. I wanted to be a doctor. So I actually also grew up in the South Bay in Palos Verdes. And so I was looking for good schools that had a good, undergraduate program for feeding into medical schools, as well as, something that might be relatively close to home. So we went and visited Cal State Long Beach, and we went as far as, I think it was like the orientation for the biology or science program, and found out that they had a really solid program and a really strong relationship. I believe it was with Irvine Medical School at the time. And I got some scholarships and things. And so just everything about the school was very appealing. And so I decided to go to CSUOB on that premise. I started working in a hospital pretty early on in my undergraduate life, and I realized I didn't want to be a doctor. And so then I started looking around and seeing, okay, what do I want to do if I'm not going to go on the pre-med track? And I spoke with a couple of professors and some family members, and I started to look into law as another option. I did some searching for some resources on campus, and at the time there weren't that many resources providing information about going to law school and what law school is about and things like that. So I started up the Law Society, and to kind of just help inform myself and other students I thought that might be interested in pursuing pursuing law school and a career in law. And so it was through the speakers that we invited in the Law Society that I learned more about law school in general and the profession, and how I decided to kind of ultimately become a lawyer.
Wonderful. You touched on a couple of points there, you figuring out that medicine wasn't going to be for you, and you're really reaching out to your professors for guidance, which is great. So many of our students are either shy or fearful of going to professors, can you, um, give them guidance like they should be reaching out to the professors and seeking resources to help them guide to find what they really want to do?
Yeah, definitely. There's so many resources around the students in an institution like Long Beach or and other universities that it's to a student's detriment if they don't take advantage of those resources, those knowledge base. Every student has faculty, I think, that they build relationships with, or they get along with, and it's critical to kind of pick their brains on things that they might be considering, just to hear what their experiences are or perspectives might be on things like that. So I did that with my with some professors, and some that I actually still have a close relationship with 20 years later, from Long Beach. And my experience, one of the questions that you mentioned, the first part, or a part of your first question, as far as like student life, one of the reasons that I have such fond memories of Long Beach is because it was just a really amazing experience from a student life perspective. Now, I didn't live on campus the first few years, and I didn't live in Long Beach the first few years, so I commuted from home. But then I moved to Long Beach in my third year, and I think that there, in order to get the full experience at a school like Long Beach, you really have to get engaged. You really have to get involved in the different organizations and groups, whatever they might be. So I started with a fraternity, and that was really helpful to meet people and make friends and things like that. And then that also then gave me the network and confidence to then start up the Law Society. My experience with the fraternity, the fraternity kind of went through some ups and downs the first few years that I was there. Ups and downs being they got kicked off campus, and then so we had to get back on campus, so there was a lot of the older members. They were pretty much over it, and so I was in a middle point as far as a few years of experience with the fraternity, and there was a bunch of younger members like freshmen and sophomores, and so I wasn't ever planning on taking a leadership role in the fraternity, but because of the circumstances at the time, then I became president of the fraternity. That ended up actually being one of the best experiences that I could have ever had, because it taught me so much about working in teams, about organizations. I was a business major by that point, so I switched majors and I was taking a bunch of business classes. So everything from marketing and economics and business development and those things. I just applied those lessons to the issues that we were facing at the fraternity, and by doing that, we ended up after my year, based on the year of being president, we got back on campus. We got a house. We doubled our membership, and so I learned a lot about organizations and leadership and team environments and things through that I then used to help grow out the Law Society, and then I then used to run for student government. And all of those experiences were so fulfilling that it just made for an amazing experience while I was at school, and a very, I think a diverse student life experience.
Wonderful. Yeah, that power of networking, also, but also the ability you had to take what you were learning in class and really implement it into the organization that you were starting up. It's wonderful. And you learn the best when you're hands-on, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you are graduating. At what point did you start to think about the LSAT? Did you have a mentor or someone that guided you towards that process?
The LSAT. do not want to think about the LSAT. Well, you got to take the LSAT in order to go to law school, and they look at your GPA and they look at your LSAT. Those are the two big things. And so I took one LSAT class, and then I had a fellow student that was also looking to go to law school, and she was looking to take the LSAT at the same time. So we studied together all the time, and we took a bunch of practice exams. And that was the most helpful thing. You take the classes, you do what you're told as far as the lesson plans and things. And for me, I try to take as many practice tests as I possibly could. So yeah, that was I think it was in the last year of school that I studied for the LSAT and then started applying to law schools.
Wonderful. And how did you navigate that process of choosing what law schools to apply for?
I went to Southwestern Law School, and that's in Los Angeles, and it has a really good entertainment law program. At the time, there's been over the last 20 years, schools like UCLA and SC law schools have also then now created entertainment practicums. But 20 years ago, Southwestern was really the only school that had a very kind of fleshed out entertainment practicum, and so that was very appealing for me. Also, the fact that it was still in Southern California, and I also received a scholarship from that school. So all of those reasons kind of factored into me choosing Southwestern. The reason why I mentioned it was also important, the fact that it was in Los Angeles. I think that for people considering going to law school, you want to pick what it's going to be the best school you can get into, as well as consider where you know or feel that you're going to want to live for the rest of your life. So, for instance, if I got into Harvard or Yale or something like that, I would have gone to Harvard or Yale, but I didn't. But I also knew that I want to live in Los Angeles. I have family here, and I have family all throughout the country. So I've been on the East Coast and Midwest and all that kind of thing. And I realized that Los Angeles is where I want to raise a family and where I want to have a career. So one of the reasons that I chose Southwestern over the other schools that I went to, in addition to it being, having the entertainment base that I was looking for at the time, it was also in Los Angeles. And that kind of goes into the network. At the time, I figure, okay, I've gone to high school in Southern California, gone to undergrad in Southern California. If I go to law school in Southern California, and then I'm going to be living in Southern California, then that's going to allow me to have just maintain my network of friends and friends that I've been able to build up. And I figured at some point that's going to be pretty useful if I'm going to be a lawyer. And sure enough, it has been. There's depending on what different types of law somebody wants to go into. In my specific field, as a lawyer in a law firm that is doing business and intellectual property, I represent companies and individuals. There's a lot of my clients currently are people that I grew up with. So I have clients right now that are my friends from high school, clients that are my friends from college, clients that are friends from law school, and also people that I do a lot of business with. Whether or not they're my clients, I refer business to them, they refer business to me. I use them for as far as financial advisors or accountants and things like that, are all people that I grew up with. And so having that network of people and maintaining that network is really important, depending on the profession you go into. And I think even outside of a profession, just generally maintaining your network is only going to benefit you and throughout your life.
Definitely, you never know when your next opportunity might come from, and it is from most cases your network that you built throughout the years.
Mhm.
A question that I got through the chat is, how did you end up with a focus on entertainment? Did you know from early on that that's what you wanted to focus on?
In law school, it's funny, the decisions on why I went to CSULB and why I went to law school. A lot of that, truth be told, was also driven by my dad whispering into my ear, being like, "Hey, you want to be a doctor? Doctors are good," and all that. And so I was like, "Yeah, sure. Doctors sound great, and Long Beach has got a really good pre-med program, and let's do it." For then when I wanted to when I changed to want to pursue law, and I was picking different schools. We came across Southwestern that had a good entertainment program, and my dad was like, "Hey, entertainment's cool," and things. So I was like, "Yeah, entertainment is cool." But one of the other, like outside of that, I love movies, I love television, and so I thought it'd be really, really great to be able to represent clients in the industry. So that was the reason why I kind of migrated towards Southwestern and wanting to pursue an entertainment focus. But right now, my practice, I still have entertainment clients, but when I first, so I've been practicing over about 15 years now. And I'd say percentage wise, my entertainment base of clients is maybe 30-40%. And then the rest are clients in other industries, so finance or hospitality, marketing, and cannabis, and a bunch of other different types of industries. So I'm not just an entertainment lawyer now. I consider myself more as a business and intellectual property attorney representing clients in various industries. As far as those that are interested in pursuing law, or specifically entertainment law, and I'll throw this out there to anybody. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you just Google me, you can find my firm and my email, so anybody can reach out, and I'm happy to provide any type of guidance and things like that. But it's it's important for people to understand the wide variety of entertainment law. There's some people want to pursue entertainment law because it sounds fun and exciting, but they don't really think about what that entails. So, and what exactly the different kind of, I guess, buckets or categories of entertainment law. So you could be a music attorney, or you could be a movie attorney, you could be a television attorney, you could be a sports attorney. Even within a movie attorney, you could be a transactional, you could be representing producers and production companies, or you could be representing artists and actors and directors and writers. You could be doing transactional entertainment work, which is like all the deals and contracts and things like that. Or you could be doing litigation. So you could be, doing like breach of contracts and infringement cases and things like that. So there's just so many different types of facets just under the entertainment umbrella. So I would just recommend for people to first ask themselves, what is it that they're interested in, that aspect of entertainment or any other industry, and then specifically what are they most interested in doing? Are they interested in being a litigator? Are they interested in being a transactional attorney, or are they interested, in working in-house at a big studio, or are they interested in working at a law firm? Because all of those things are different types of careers that I didn't really know about when I was going to law school, or even before I chose to go to law school. And those can also impact the decisions that you make on which school that you want to go into.
Do you think an individual should have specific skills or be strong in specific skill set to pursue any of those various buckets, I'm gonna call them, of law, to pursue them in entertainment, for example?
Um, I think you need well, there's a difference. The different skill sets, I guess you could distinguish between wanting to be in litigation or wanting to be transactional. So litigation meaning like going to court and trying cases and things like that and business disputes versus wanting to be more of or doing just transactional work. Now, I started out originally as a transactional attorney, and over the last, let's say, 7, 8, 9 years, I have migrated towards litigation. That's why I'm able to do litigation and outside general counsel work because of the transactional kind of foundations that I had in my career early on. But as far as people wanting to go in doing both, that's not very traditional. There's a lot of work that that you would put in if you want to try to do both transactional and litigation, and as far as like the different skill sets, I think that you want to have on both. You want to have the ability to do critical thinking. I guess like reading comprehension in terms of like understanding, the big picture of things, and one skill that I've found that it's important for all attorneys, and this probably goes into non-attorneys as well, is when we go to law school, it's very academic. You're taught, the different areas of law and cases and statutes and things like that. But there's a lot more than the actual substantive, like legal issues that go into practicing law. There's a lot of, business considerations, life considerations that go into evaluating what's the best course of action on a particular deal or on a particular venture. Or on a certain type of litigation. And so the ability, I think, to kind of empathize with your client and empathize with your opponent is very important, both on the transactional and on the litigation side. I guess from a skill set with litigation, there's just like organization is really important as well. Kind of task management. Because there's like as you get more and more cases and then you start having to prep for trials and things like that, there's just a lot of moving pieces. So it's important to have a good team around you to stay organized and not procrastinate and set goals and accomplish those goals.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Can you share with us like what is your typical day like?
Well, it varies depending on what is the, like what's going on with my clients at the time. So right now, for instance, I have trial coming up in 3 weeks. And so there's a lot of work that's going into prepping for the trial. And then also, so we're finalizing whatever remaining depositions that we need to do. And then we need to organize all of the evidence that's going to be that we've basically compiled over 2 years of discovery to put it together in the necessary trial materials, and then prepare the examination outlines and then prep for trial. Now it's a big undertaking for any trial, and usually the month before there's just a ton of things to do. But you also have other clients and cases. So then what ends up happening is you have to work a lot more when you start nearing trial, so you can make sure that you're properly prepped for that, as well as being able to manage all of your other client matters. So right now, my typical day is pretty busy in terms of preparing. I'll spend a couple hours on a brief, as far as in this situation, the trial brief, and also organizing tasks for the staff on what they need to do for all the different things that we got to kind of line up for the trial, while I do a lot of trademark work. So after today's session, my kind of afternoon is going to be kind of following up on 3 different clients' trademark matters. Every day is different in a way. It is you have to deal with. In my capacity as a partner in a law firm, it's not just servicing the clients, it's also managing staff. It's also responding to client inquiries. It's also, making sure to do whatever is necessary from a business development and a marketing standpoint. And there's also a lot of just administrative work with the firm overall, of things like we're looking to bring on new staff, and we're actually growing. We have some attorneys that are going to be joining the firm, so we're interviewing now people, and so I'm working with recruiters on different roles that we need to fill. So it's just constantly a number of things that come up throughout the day.
Oh, a little bit of everything every day.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Last week, for instance, I had 3 depositions. So I was sitting in depositions for 8 hours, and then prepping for the first, 2 hours before, and then meeting with clients 2 hours after. So then, prior to that, one of our big things that's going on with one of my clients, they one client owns a few professional rugby teams. So we're looking to do all of the kind of like a corporate audit of their activities to make sure that everything is up to par from an employee standpoint to an intellectual property standpoint, and lining things up for their next season as far as re-signing players and coaches and things. So it just varies again with whatever is kind of coming up from a client needs.
Wonderful. So I have questions from the audience. What exactly do you do in representing clients with intellectual property? Can you give an example of what that is?
Sure. Intellectual property is there's 4 pillars, you could say, of intellectual property. There's trademark, copyright, patent, and trade secrets. So I don't do any patent work, but I do trademark, copyright, and trade secrets. And I started out at my first job was in-house at a film and television trade association, and I was doing all of the association's trademarks. And so I like trademarks a lot. And trademarks, simply, it's kind of like it's whatever is the identifier, like a brand identifier. So, for instance, Nike is a trademark, Apple is a trademark, the Nike swoosh is a trademark, Just Do It is a trademark. So all those are the different types of trademarks, and every company, or many companies, have a trademark. If you think about Go Beach behind you is technically a trademark. And so there's in terms of like the types of things that I'll do for trademark related is I'll have a company. For instance, our rugby guys, they're looking to push out a few new slogans and also a few new designs for the name of the team. So then with that, we need to decide, okay, is this something that we're going to want, these new slogans and these new designs? We want to protect these slogans to make a proprietary IP asset, to make it a protectable trademark. So then we have to evaluate how they're using it in connection with what goods and services they're using it or going to be using it, and then to see whether or not we have the ability to apply for trademark protection for that. So, so for these guys, for instance, they have about 5 or 6 different logos and slogans that they want to consider for trademarking. A similar type of client is a new company that's starting off. It's a new alcoholic beverage company, and they're growing very fast, and they have a whole slew of trademarks that they want to also protect. So what we'll do is in addition to seeing what their usage is, we'll do a conflict search and analysis to say, okay, if you're looking to now invest a lot of money into building this brand, then what we first want to do is make sure that there's no potential conflicts with this. You don't want to spend $1 million, $2 million in advertising and promotional materials and years of building goodwill on a brand to then be hit with a cease and desist letter by somebody in a year or two saying that you're using a mark that's similar to their mark. So we do a conflict due diligence analysis to see what is the universe of similar marks out there to see if this is a viable mark. And once we do that, then we apply for the trademark, and then we apply in the different territories that we're going to be using it internationally. And then related to that, somebody might then say you fast forward a couple of years and you do get hit with a cease and desist letter. And oftentimes, it won't necessarily, if you do a good job up front in identifying conflicts, then hopefully you don't. It's times where a client will come to me and say, hey, I just got hit with a cease and desist letter on a trademark. And so then we'll evaluate and see if there's a viable infringement claim. Or a client will let me know that there's some third party out there that's using a mark that's similar to them that's causing market confusion. So on the litigation side of things, I have about 6 active litigation cases that are just trademark infringement. 3 of them that we are the plaintiffs on. And actually it's 5 cases, and then 2 cases where we're defendants on. So on those plaintiff sides, we're suing people for infringing on our trademarks. And then on the defendant side, we're defending claims of infringement against our clients.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for explaining that. From the audience, another question. How has COVID impacted your field and career? And I know you're working from your office, but at some point were you also working from home?
COVID's actually impacted the field a lot. I'm working in the office, and fortunately for me, even though COVID was devastating and everything, our firm, we went remote in March of last year, but everybody went remote. And so there was nobody that was coming in the office. And so the way I still had a lot of things to do. I didn't have like a nice office, a home office setup. So it would have been me working off my laptop on the dining room, or coming into the office. And since nobody was coming into the office, then it was just me here for actually like the first 4 months. It was kind of a ghost town, and it was really interesting. So I stayed in the office, and then like starting in the summertime or the fall of last year, some of my partners started coming back, and now we have about maybe 40% of our staff that's working out of the office, and we're eventually going to open it up fully probably in the next few months. As far as how COVID's impacted the day-to-days, it's been very impactful from a litigation standpoint. Before COVID, a lot like just making appearances in court. A lot of judges would require you to make in-person appearances. If you had to do arbitrations or mediations or other types of conferences, they would all be in person. But with COVID, a lot of the judges and also the arbitration services and things like that started to incorporate virtual proceedings and using Zoom. And so, just a month ago, I did an entire arbitration. It was about a week and a half long on Zoom, which you never would have kind of thought about before. And it went fine. Interestingly, I thought it was going to be a little faster doing Zoom, but it's not as fast because there's a lot of document exchange and issues like that. But aside from that, from a convenience standpoint of not having to pack up all my materials and, drive to wherever and get set up and, attend an arbitration, there's a lot of time that's saved there. There's a lot of very convenient, and that time that's saved just gives you more time to prep for the cases and things. And so that's been, that's kind of reflected into a lot of other things. I think people have realized we can do a lot of like, client meetings, you could do virtual, new client, prospective client meetings and things you could do virtual. So that's been really, I think, a good kind of wake up for the industry. And I'm sure it's similar to a lot of other industries as well.
Wonderful, thank you. So I know in your bio, I read it that you founded, your property firm. What was that process like? And do you still own it? And how do you manage that with your full-time job that you currently have?
Well, interesting. So I founded my old firm so I started practicing in 2007. From 2007 to 2012, I was in-house at Independent Film Television Alliance. And I wasn't planning on staying there as long as I did. It was around 2008, or 2008, 2009, when the economy, there was like the recession hit. So, there was nowhere to go really. So I stayed with the company longer than I thought. At the 5-year point, then I was looking to, which was in 2011, 2012, I was looking to move. And then I started looking to see whether I wanted to stay in-house or whether I wanted to join a law firm. So I started interviewing with a bunch of different firms, and the reception was really good. But also around that time, I was having drinks with a law school buddy of mine, and he was working at his firm for about 5 years. And he was like, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving. And we started battering around the idea of maybe like opening up our own shop. And so we met one weekend in my office, and then and he brought another law school friend of ours. The three of us met one weekend, and then we came up with some agenda items, and then we all looked into it, and we met again the next week. And then we met again the next week. And then so we started just basically creating a business plan of what we envisioned our law firm to be, and how, and what areas of focus and how we would get clients, because that's a big part of it. Right. People don't realize that, I don't know whether they realize it or not, but one of the biggest things that we knew in order to have a successful firm is you need clients and you need business. You got to pay the bills. And so how are you going to get the clients? So we put together a marketing plan and a business plan, and we met week after week for about 8 or 9 months. And then we decided to do it. We all left our jobs and opened up our firm in 2012, and that was Kramer Holcomb Sheik. And we grew it over the years, year after year. I'm proud to say that it just kept growing, and it was really well. And then I left the firm in January of last year. So the reason that I left the firm, basically we dissolved, mainly because the three partners, as we were growing, we kept bringing on more staff and things, we were doing really well. But my one partner was doing all personal injury. My other partner was doing all plaintiff's employment, and I was doing business and intellectual property. So there was no synergies really between our practices. And when my middle partner, he had some personal issues, so he had to move to the East Coast. The personal injury partner and I, we started talking about, okay, what is, how are we going to kind of brand the firm? Basically, I didn't think that we needed to rebrand anything. I thought we were doing just fine. But his feeling was he thought it would be good to, basically create like 2 DBAs, one that was focused on the personal injury side, and then one that was focused on the business and IP side. And, we just had a difference of opinion on that. And so we really just outgrew one another. And so in 2019, I started looking for other firms that did what I do, other business and IP lawyers, so I can have the same platform that I've built, or be able to basically take my client base and link it up with a similar platform that I was creating at Kramer Holcomb Sheik, but with all other business and IP attorneys. And Weinberg Gonser was just a perfect fit. You know, the people are great. They're all business and IP attorneys. The majority of them were transactional or are transactional attorneys, but they had litigation that was arising from their practice. And so I joined the firm to basically help grow the litigation practice, and also with the idea that all of my transactional clients, I can now provide them with even more services and value, because I have, you know, partners and colleagues now that do a lot more sophisticated types of transactions and you know, corporate work that, you know, I was referring out anyway. So now we're able to keep everything in house.
Yeah. What a great life lesson that you know, walk away and knew when to, it was okay to walk away towards something that you were more passionate about.
Yeah, you know, it was very, it was a really interesting time and period, how that all went down. A lot of uncertainty, but because you built something for 8 years, and you know, you're very proud of what you built, and you know, by no means did we kind of part ways because it wasn't working. You know, we parted ways because we were just both, you know, growing, and you know, I know we just outgrew one another. But it was also just uncertain in terms of like, okay, are we making the right decision here? Maybe we don't, you know, maybe we, you know, think of things differently and stay together and continue to do what we're doing. And so I'm very, looking back on it, it was meant to be in a way. I think for my former partners and myself, I know that they're doing really well. I'm grateful to say that I'm doing well. And you know, it was just at the time, I didn't know how right of a move it was, but looking back on it, it was the best move that I could have done.
Yeah, perfect timing. Question from our audience. What are your thoughts on the evolving and transitioning state of the legal industry and practice of law?
Really good question. It's evolving and transitioning a lot. I think all industries, especially service industries, are being heavily impacted by technology, and that impact of technology is making it giving consumers more access to information. Right now, you can, you know, if you like, you have so much information on through Google and on the internet that consumers did not have before. Also, these new, like, automation of certain services, like, you know, outside of legal, you have like what is it? TurboTax. You know, that's heavily impacted CPAs. You have like financial advisory automated softwares and models of like, hey, how to invest your monies and things. On the law side, you have like LegalZooms and Rocket Lawyers and all that. We're not competing with, well, I don't want to say, you know, we're not competing with those services directly, but those services, well, actually, let me take that back. When a LegalZoom was created, or it started becoming very prevalent, maybe 10 years ago, it was at its it was still very new. The services weren't that good, so you know, people will be like, oh, shoot, like, I'm going to go register a trademark on LegalZoom and it'll only cost X amount of money, or I can come through you. I'm like, okay, yeah, go through LegalZoom and do that, and then you're going to come back because they're going to mess it up. But what happens is that these companies are investing hundreds of millions of dollars back into their information technology year after year. And computers are only getting smarter and faster and better. So these services that were not that good when they first started out, now they are good. Now they are providing a benefit to consumers who can afford those types of legal services. And if there's clients or prospective clients that come to me and say, hey, I'm looking to do this, depending on what their budget is, depending on what their circumstances are, sometimes I'm gonna be like, you know, you don't need me right now. You can, you know, why don't you go and, you know, file this on a LegalZoom or something like that. that, see if everything, if the business takes off, and then you can come back to me at a later time. I don't recommend that to clients generally. I'm just saying that I'm not as resistant to these types of services because I think from an economic standpoint, it's supply and demand. Obviously, there was a void in the market for these types of services, and if something can be more efficient and cheaper for consumers, then all the better. What that's forcing lawyers to do, whereas they didn't before, is now for certain types of services like trademark registrations, like run-of-the-mill lease agreements, or whatever they might be, more like trying to trademark registrations, entity formations. Now people are providing flat fee services, whereas 10, 15 years ago, that would be unheard of. But flat fee services are very common now for kind of bread and butter transactions like entity formations and trademark registrations or copyright registrations. And then what that does is it takes the profit margins, it shrinks the profit margins for firms. So ultimately, consumers have more choices. They have more access to information. They're able to shop around and find, more alternatives for potential representation, and so that then impacts, ultimately, like how much a company is willing to pay for an associate, or how much clients are willing to pay for legal services. So we're seeing all of that happening, right now, and it hasn't stopped. In my opinion, the impact of technology isn't like we're not seeing it fully developed right now. It's constantly happening. Year after year, we're seeing how how technology is impacting the business models and the provision of legal services. They also make things easier for us. Now we have access to more information that we didn't have before. So there's just a lot of impacts.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. A question from the audience: what are your thoughts on a work-life balance?
I think it's good to have a work-life balance. I think that it also depends. I think that's 100% in the option of the person. For me, I have certain goals in terms of like what I want to be able, like how much money I want to make, and at the same time, what I want to, the types of clients I want to represent, how much I want to grow my practice, how much I want to, help grow our law firm and things. So I work more than I might need to. But I'm choosing to work that much because I have, different goals than other people. So a lot of it really depends on, what you're looking for. If you're looking for a place, now our firm, for example, we actually very much value work-life balance. And so somebody can come in, if like as an associate, if they want to come in and just have a really clear work-life balance, then we say that's fine. We have the work that we need to get done. There's going to be times where you need to, if we're prepping for trials and things like that, you're closing deals, you might need to put in a little more time and things like that. But generally, we're not the type of firm that expects everybody to be here on the weekends and, working late and in early and things like that. I work the weekends. I'm in early and I'm late, but that's because I choose to be because of the position that I'm in. Now, the associate can choose to service, associate or paralegal or partner or whoever can choose to just service and have a better work-life balance if they want to do other things. Or that person can also decide to do more and take on more. And in doing that, they're going to be working more, but then they're also going to have more opportunities for growth, because then attorneys are going to give them more stuff. They're going to get more experience on things. They're going to then have the ability to get their own clients. And this goes to, whether or not it's our firm, as attorneys, and I know we're going to be wrapping up soon. I'm in no rush. So if you guys have more questions, I'm happy to answer it. But, one of the good things about a legal career, and one of the things that really drew me to pursuing a legal career, is one of the first speakers that we had at the Law Society. He was actually the vice president of I think like a JP Morgan or some financial institution. He wasn't even practicing law. And so his biggest tip was, or kind of insight to us at the time, was the versatility of a law degree. You know, and I think that's one of the biggest values of people who might be considering pursuing a career in law, is that it's a very versatile degree. You can work in-house, or you can work at a law firm. You can work at specific industries if you want to, be an entertainment lawyer, if you want to be a criminal lawyer, if you want to be, name off any of the other industries. You want to be a hospitality attorney, if you want to be a food and beverages type thing, you can do that. You could also decide, hey, I want to pursue a career in law because I want to go into politics. I wanted to pursue a career in law because I want to go into academics and I want to teach in things. Or I want, so there's a lot of different pathways that are available for law, and each one of those pathways, you can decide to pick a job at a place that is going to be more demanding on your time or less demanding on your time. And so there's just, it's really kind of what the individual is looking for in terms of like the current work-life balance, but also what their goals are career-wise.
Right, definitely. So I know we're a little bit over time, but I have 3 more questions that I think would be great. You kind of answered it. What do you love about practicing law, and what could you do without?
What I love about practicing law is how challenging things can. Well, let me put it this way. On the litigation side, one thing that is very stimulating to me is, how complicated something can get when you're really looking at all the different facets of a particular litigation matter. What I mean by that is, even your run-of-the-mill breach of contract dispute, you have to create a plan and a strategy of, what are we looking to accomplish? Are we looking to, take this all the way to trial and get a big verdict? And if so, is our client able to even afford that? Or are we looking to try to settle something out? Are we looking to use this as leverage? And then, what are the areas of exposure? What are the, things that we can anticipate from the opposing side? And it's a constant, puzzle that you're trying to put together to achieve a goal for the client of either winning the case or resolving the case favorably or closing a deal favorably. And so that, like, kind of helping the clients through these tough times, whether it's going to be on a big deal that they're relying, the future of their business on, or on a business dispute that they're concerned about how much it's going to cost them and the exposure that they might have if they're, defending a lawsuit. You're put into an advisor position and a position of trust. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. And so to me, I take that very seriously. And when we're able to then achieve the goals for the client and achieve a favorable resolution or win a trial or close big deals and things like that, and they're satisfied, then it's very fulfilling, because you're like, okay, I helped this person out. Yes, they're paying me and things like that, but they could pay anybody. The fact that we were able to, help this person achieve their goals and carried out the plans and strategies that we came up with, and we're able to kind of like amend things and stay flexible and pivot when we needed to, and we ultimately, were successful. Again, it's very rewarding. The things that I could do without, I guess, like any, sometimes it's just like in my position, there's a lot of like admin things, a lot of like employee management, a lot of even like client management. And sometimes those things just interfere with your ability to just focus on the tasks at hand. but they're also part of the job. So I I yeah, I guess just some of that. I guess I wish I had somebody that would just field all of that, so I could just focus on the more substantive things.
Right. I totally agree with you, but it's part of being that leader, that manager. It just comes with the role
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, Final two questions. Going back to your title, considerations for our students and our alums to consider we're going in a career law, pursuing law, and then any final words of encouragement that you would like to share with our students and alums.
Yeah, considerations would be, this would be kind of a general feeling, like if you're thinking about pursuing a career in law, think about exactly what you want to be doing. Do you want to be is there a particular industry that you have a passion for? And if so, then find different roles in law that might allow you to work in that industry, to represent clients in that industry, or work at companies that are in that industry, and kind of like equal to the industry. Is there a particular passion that you have? Are you looking for something that's more academic related, or are you looking for something that is more kind of in-house related, like working with a company and working for a company? In which case, then you're looking at more kind of like transactional type work. Or are you looking for, are you interested in something that's more entrepreneurial? In which case, and do you have an entrepreneurial kind of tendencies and desires? And if so, then you want to gear yourself more towards a law firm and a law firm role. So those would be things that I would suggest. First, consider what exactly you're passionate about, if there's any right now. Because that will then help guide you to what particular school that you might want to choose, because they might have a particular expertise or a good alumni base in that area. And also location is going to be important. If you know you're going to be living somewhere and you want to be living somewhere, then choose a school that's that's there, because then the more likely than not, the majority of their alumni are going to also be living in the area. As far as the thing, like takeaways right now, it was funny. Maybe a couple years ago, I was maybe like 5 years ago or something, I was thinking to myself, if I was thinking about going to law school, I probably wouldn't right now or at the time, because there's so much transition going on in the industry, especially with the impact again of like technology and all these alternative services and how it's impacting the business model and whatnot. But I don't feel that way anymore. I feel more of kind of like how I was just describing it, that there is still a lot of versatility in law. Now, there's a lot of things are changing and being impacted significantly by technology, as are other industries, but it's also creating new ways to practice law that didn't exist before. It's making it in some areas, it's giving attorneys more access to information that they didn't otherwise have. So then allowing you to practice, to maybe do certain deals that you might have before referred out. Or take on a certain matter that even if you don't have expertise, you're like, okay, well, wait a minute. I have all the information that I need in order to figure out what the issues are here. So if I'm willing to put in the legwork to figure that out, then I can, and if I feel that I'm going to do a proper amount of due diligence, then I can take that on. So again, there's these opportunities that are created because of technology. And again, I think because of the versatility of a law degree in, for whatever type of industry and profession that you want, I think it's still a very good proposition. But I would also suggest that people understand that it's a long-term play. Law school, if you want to do it, there's some programs and really good programs that are not your traditional 3-year full time. Some programs are accelerated programs that I think are 18 months. There's some programs that you could do part time that are like 4 years. But whatever it is, unless you get a full ride, you're going to be spending several years and a lot of money paying for that degree. And when you start out, it's not like you're going to, unless you're very lucky, you're probably going to start out not making all that much money. And so you're going to have a lot of debt and things. So just understand that it is a long-term play. If eventually you're going to find yourself in the position to apply for the jobs or work at the companies or start your firms and things that you want to do because you have that master's degree, that Juris Doctorate, but it's not instantaneous.
Right. Well, thank you, Shahrokh. It was great chatting with you. Great insight on your law career. It's been different to what we've heard from other alumni. So we're very grateful for your time. If any of our students or alums would like to connect with you, like you said, they could look for you on Google, or maybe do you use LinkedIn where they could possibly connect with you?
Sure, yeah. I'm on LinkedIn and
or if you're okay, if anyone wants to connect with you, they could email us and we could do an introduction via email as well.
That's fine.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for all of our viewers that watched today. Again, please follow us on social media or visit our website to learn about future chats like this. We thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you, Noemi. Thanks, everyone.
Shahrokh, if you want to hold on